posted too. This has been the Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union post-game download only on your home for Twins baseball.
You've been listening to the Minnesota Twins.
As a pitch to Eddie, hit high in the air to left center field. A long run for Gordon. Tracking, he's near the wall. He's at the wall, and it's gone. A home run for Eddie Julian.
Line down the left field line. That's going to score Miranda. So Bader drives in a run.
Swung on a miss. He struck him out. Bailey Ober fans a pair.
And go. Wallner has tied it up with a 2-run homer.
And the ball hit high in the air for Ty France. See you later. Bounces up onto the boardwalk. It's a 3-run shot for Ty France.
Today's game was brought to you by Target, proud partner of the Twins.
This has been a presentation of the Treasure Island Baseball Network.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey Sports, presented by Indeed. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire.
All right, Drive Time with DeRUSHA about ready to get fired up. Laura Oakes is standing by to update you on the news. Obviously, if you've been paying attention to any social media or any news websites, you heard within the last 3 hours, we learned that there is a new pope, and he's from the United States. An American pope. Astonishing. An absolute shocker. First time ever. We'll talk about that, among other things, when we get started after Laura updates you on the news.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Thanks, Jason. Sunny, 68 degrees at 3:23. I'm Laura Oakes, and the head of the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis is smiling today upon word of the new pope.
Archbishop Bernard Hebda never imagined there would be an American pope.
How wonderful to have all of you here on this day that is so important for us as Catholics and really for men and women of goodwill around the globe.
He told reporters he's never met him, but believes he will bring unity to the church. He also said he was struck by the fact that Pope Leo did not speak English in his address.
Pope Leo spoke in Spanish. He said, I apologize. I want to take a moment to say a few words in Spanish. He said no words in English.
In St. Paul, Susie Jones.
And I haven't heard definitively whether he's a Cubs fan or a White Sox fan. Cubs.
News Talk 830 WCCO.
Yes, Catholics around the Twin Cities are celebrating the news. Yvonne Veman heard the Pope had been selected while attending the noon mass at St. Olaf in downtown Minneapolis.
We're grateful, and we just hope that he can be a holy shepherd to all of us and bring all souls to Jesus.
In other news today, we now know the name of the 14-year-old boy who was shot and killed following a fight earlier this week near the Federal Reserve Building in downtown Minneapolis. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office says Thor William Wagaman Walsh of Minneapolis suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Police Chief Brian O'Hara says Walsh had been a victim of a shooting in the past and recently was a suspect in another shooting. There have been no arrests in this case. Republican activist Kendall Qualls is jumping into the Minnesota governor's race. He filed the paperwork today and is expected to make a formal announcement next week. Qualls is a former healthcare executive and Army veteran. He has unsuccessfully run for Congress and governor in recent years. And it is a big day for Minnesota sports fans.
Mark came from Waseca to watch the Twins and celebrate a very special birthday.
Right now we're here to celebrate my wife. She passed away. It's her birthday today. She was a big Twins fan.
Recently retired Bob is going to watch the Wolves on TV, but spend the day outdoors.
Enjoy the sun with the baseball game.
And Matt might be pulling double duty.
Going to the Twins game, and then we'll see where it takes us from the evening.
So you may or may not go to the Wolves.
Who knows? Just got to be flexible and see what happens.
Regardless of where they'll watch the Wolves, they've offered up a key piece of advice.
Quit shooting threes. What were they, like 0 for 30 the other night?
Roaming downtown Minneapolis, Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Is this how life works for people? You're just like, well, I'll see where the night takes me. Maybe
love that.
Maybe I'll have
I love that.
How is he just going to show, he's just going to stumble into some Timberwolves tickets? You never know.
He's probably going to stumble into a few bars and just watch the game on
yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
And that's fun, too.
That is fun.
Tip off for the Wolves tonight, 7:30 at Target Center. And it is 326 on WCCO.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Crash place, East 94 is make way toward Nicollet Avenue. The activity off to the right side. Looks like they're about ready to clear, but in the meantime, things are slow as you come in from Highway 55. It's also helping to slow things down for East 394 as you come in from Worth Parkway. 494 northbound jammed up, Excelsior to 394. Highway 10 westbound slowing past Egret, heading up into the area of Hanson Boulevard, and West 94 slowing between 169 and Weaver Lake Road. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
We'll drop back to about 50 degrees in the Twin Cities overnight tonight with a clear sky. Sunshine early. We'll see some clouds late afternoon when we warm up to about 83. It's a cold front coming through that could trigger a few isolated showers. We clear out tomorrow night. Dry for the fishing opener on Saturday. Mostly sunny with a high near 80. Windy and warm for Mother's Day with a high around 87.
Beautiful right now. Sunny skies, 68 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
Yeah, the word that comes to mind a lot, especially through social, but also through listeners, is humorless.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Where the Twins win. We like that. An American has been named head of the Catholic Church. Welcome to Drive Time. It's Jason DeRusha. Dan is here. Laura updating you on the news. I have to wonder what it is like if you are not Catholic, if you are not religious, and you're like, what is happening? What is happening? But I am Catholic. I covered Pope John Paul II's visit to St. Louis. I found my press pass from that. And if you're watching us on YouTube at the WCCO radio YouTube page where we stream live.
Get it good and close because you have such a baby face in that picture. It's
I was
fantastic.
I was a child. How I was allowed to report the news at all, I think, is a bit of a mystery. But I went down with a photographer named Bob Palmer, and we covered the Pope's visit to St. Louis. And there are times in life that you are in the presence of holiness. And I imagine it has to be like that if you meet the Dalai Lama, if you have, or if you're just when you're in the presence of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of who would be similar, where you would have like an emotional response just to the sight of the person. And there were people breaking down in tears watching John Paul II in the Pope Mobile as he went by. And I, born, raised a Catholic, also had that moment. There is something amazing about the fact that this morning, this guy is Robert Prevost, just a 69-year-old dude, grew up in a south suburb of Chicago. He's just a guy. Now, he's a very holy guy. He's got the outfits. He's got the, he's got the hats. Dan is a divinity graduate. I'm sure you might take issue with some of that. But you're a guy.
I grew up Catholic, so
right.
I fully understand it. And I had a great appreciation for Pope Francis. And everything that I'm reading about, Pope Leo is encouraging. Look, there's over 1 billion Catholics in the world. This is a huge news story.
Deal.
I mean, there's no two ways
it's
about
a big
that.
deal.
And even if you're not a Catholic, if you're just, a Christian of another denomination, you're talking about a huge portion of the Christian world, and this guy's leading it. And like I said, it's a huge news story, and it's very interesting to get to know him a little bit better.
I'm curious at 651-461-9226, just where do you care or do you not care? Where does this register for you? Because for me, there are so many different things to talk about and think about in relation to this, because certainly knowing the way the rest of the world thinks about Americans right now, to me, it is striking to have an American chosen to lead 1 billion Christians. especially following Pope Francis, who is known for putting the poor first, for being humble, a humble leader, who seemed to reject like some of the gilded parts of being the head of the Catholic Church. It is striking that an American was picked in this time. Now, it's sort of, I can't tell if it is interesting or if it is boring that everyone is trying to stick this in like a Trump or not Trump sort of binary. Because that's how we view everything now, right? And if you search Google right now for like news stories about the new Pope, MAGA melts down over new Pope's anti-Trump, pro-immigrant social media. New Pope Leo spent years retweeting criticism of Trump policy. We can't help ourselves. The gravitational pull of Donald Trump makes everyone stick everything through the Trump filter. That said, like, if you're one of these cardinals making your vote, you know what's going on, right? Like, you know how this is going to be perceived. You did not choose the first, African Pope. You chose the first American Pope. Now, some of this, you got to settle down with the first American Pope business. Because how long has America been a country? 20 popes. I think 20 popes since we've been around. So that's like, being the first, I don't know, modern house in Maple Grove. Like, la-di-da, you've been around for 50 years. Who cares? Like, as a country, in relation to a 2,000-year-old institution, like America is a blip.
America's very young.
We're very young.
We're also,
of course, it's the first.
One of the few superpowers in the world. And it does say something when it's a cardinal from that kind of a country that gets elected. I think
it does.
Like it said something when Francis, who was Argentinian, from Latin America, first Latin American Pope.
Yeah.
So that meant something.
I think it does mean something.
I think it absolutely means something that he's an American.
And they were aware of it.
Sure.
Now, he was born in Chicago. He spent years in Peru as a missionary, and then has spent most of his adult life, really, post-Peru, in the Vatican.
Was made a cardinal by Francis just 2 years ago, back in 2023.
So it's, his Italian's pretty good.
I mean, Italian, Spanish, he was going back and forth there. Didn't use a word of English in that initial speech.
I thought that was interesting.
I thought that was very interesting.
Part of the delay, you may have heard before the Twins game around 11:15 or so, was when the first person to tell me there was white smoke was Dan.
That's right.
Cook. What a producer, honestly.
Well, so there had been rumors going around.
That you had it like right away.
There was going to be a vote around 10:30 our time. That was what I was seeing on social media. So I sort of locked in.
11:09.
Of course, on every news station they had the corner shot of the chimney.
Yeah.
And just happened to walk around the corner as the white smoke was billowing out. I'm like, okay, here we go. Because I'll be honest with you, since you're going to be gone tomorrow and I'm going to be in your chair, there was part of me that was really kind of holding hope that they would wait till tomorrow so I could have.
From a show prep standpoint, you get hosed a little bit.
A little bit. That's okay.
It is.
But I was paying close attention. I was hoping to see the black smoke there, thinking, we can get it tomorrow.
I was watching CBS this morning, and Nora O'Donnell was saying, based on recent history, even though many of the elections have been 4 or 5, 6 times to get the 2/3 majority, that there's a pretty good chance it would happen today. And so,
well, they certainly weren't going to let it go through the weekend. You wouldn't think, because that would send a message. Even the
Cardinals are like, I'm not working Friday, man.
Well, I think that's going to send the message that, there was some question about, would there be divisions? Would there be a significant enough block of Cardinals that wanted to go in a more conservative direction that would hold out, and cause some sort of rift? That discussion was going on, and it was, I think it's very clear that they were trying to not present that face to the world, that they're trying to show a more unified church to the world.
For those texting saying, one texter saying, first thing I thought was, how will Trump take credit for this? He has not. He posted just after noon on Truth Social. Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who was just named Pope. It's such an honor to realize he is the first American Pope. What excitement and what a great honor for our country. I look forward to meeting Pope Leo the 14th. It'll be a very meaningful moment. I felt similarly. I felt pride. I felt shock. I felt pride. And I also felt hopeful for the opportunity to show the world, which, and this is not a Trump political statement, but I think many people around the world look at the United States and they look at us with envy for our prosperity, for our innovation, for our business success. But they also look at us as sort of selfish, oafish, unkind people. And I think this is an opportunity to show something different. Let's go to Jeff in the East Metro on the CCO Talk and Text line, 651-461-9226. You can send us a voice message, too, if you're listening live on the Odyssey app. Jeff, thanks for listening. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Jason. I like your show. I'm a Christian, not a Catholic, but my perspective would be this has nothing to do with Trump, good, bad, or otherwise. What it'll come down to is how close Pope Leo follows the instruction of Jesus Christ, which is to be a servant. Number one, Jesus washed the feet of his disciples in the Last Supper. Being a shepherd, Jesus used that analogy frequently, as we are all sheep, and so we need some guidance. And that's independent of geography, politics, and then being humble. Jesus said, John, no greater man has walked the face of the earth than John the Baptist. And John the Baptist said he had to become lesser so Jesus could be greater. So John the Baptist is an example of humility. So those three things, being a servant, being a shepherd, and being humble, will determine his success or not. He's also a head of state.
Yep.
His analytical abilities with math and science will help a lot, because it's my understanding that the Vatican has substantial financial issues,
yes,
including the Pope right up to his death, was trying to issue directives on how to straighten out the arcane and very troubled finances. And then lastly, there's decline in attendance, not only in the Catholic Church, but other mainline churches in the United States. And can he help revive that from a revival standpoint?
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with Trump, though Americans look everything through a Trump political
it's true.
Lens. God and Jesus Christ does not. So
no, thank goodness. A little longer view from the church, for sure. Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that. Very thoughtful. Very good call. It is a fascinating moment. And from the human perspective, there is that transformation that I think, I mean, Dan, you know more about this than I do, but certainly the historical tension in one of many historical tensions in Christianity is about this idea that Catholics look at the Pope as God's representative on earth. And yes, he was elected today, but the theological belief is that he was chosen by God.
That the Holy Spirit guided the cardinals to vote for him.
Right.
Yeah.
And, that's that Martin Luther wasn't a big fan of that. There are a lot of historical issues with that. To me, what's amazing is again, this idea that this morning, he was Bob. I don't know if anyone called him Bob. If you're from like Dalton, Illinois, you're from Chicago, you could be a Robbie. And today, right now, you're Pope Leo. So this morning, you were a really smart, very godly. Think of the favorite priest or pastor in your life. And then think of someone who's like a little smarter than that. That's sort of the vibe I get about this guy, right? And today he's the Pope. You just think it's amazing. And because he's American, we are able to hear from people who like, oh, I was talking to him 2 weeks ago. And you're like, so wild. It's just wild to think about how strange it is for people like in his sphere. And just for him in a moment of reflection when you think like, all right, here's a guy who studied math at Villanova, went into the priesthood, and today, he's almost 70. He's had a long life. And you say like, well, now you're the Pope. It's sort of mind-blowing for me. It's very difficult to
It's got to be. I mean, you have to think that he went to the conclave with some notion that he might be considered. And certainly by the first ballot or two, his name had to have been being shared around. So it's not like, it was an immediate thing.
For sure.
But it's, probably a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And I thought as he came out this morning and you're watching him initially, before he even said a word, they bring him out, the crowd erupts and he's waving and there's some music and the whole thing. And there was one point where they got a pretty tight shot of him. And it just felt to me watching him that he was trying to compose himself, that moment of, coming out and now for the first time he's addressing this crowd as Pope, that hit him hard in that moment. And you could sort of see him, the jaw kind of clenching and the eyes kind of tightening as he's maybe fighting back tears a little bit. I'm sure I can't even imagine what that had to feel like in that moment, understanding the responsibility that he's now accepted and now is entering into this brand new chapter of life that will extend to the end of his life. He's going to wear these vestments until he passes away. And, who knows how long that is, hopefully a good long time for him, but it's going to be a huge, huge shift in his life. And accepting that's got to be a mind job, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. It's just crazy. To me, it's very, very, the human side of this is sort of amazing. Now there's a little bit of Dick Cheney picking himself to be the vice president vibes for me here, because Pope Leo did lead the office that selected bishops all around the world. So certainly, like, if you want to view, and you should also view, like, the head of the Catholic Church with a little bit of a political lens, not the politics of America, but the political side of it. And Pope Francis stacked the deck, right, to try to make sure that his approach to leading the church was continued. And then the fact that the people that Francis stacked the deck with picked one of Francis's closest advisors, who also was the guy who picked a lot of bishops, is pretty genius. It's pretty genius, right? Like, I mean, that is the strategy there comes to fruition.
Almost as though there was a hand guiding it.
You can look at it that way. Exactly. We'll break. It's 3:44. Drive time with DeRUSHA. We're going to have some analysis of this throughout the show. And so your feedback welcome throughout the show as well. Coming up, what should we talk about next, Dan? I got a list. I have so many. How about how millennials became uncool? We're going to take a very major turn. Headline, cringe, how millennials became uncool. I will talk about the latest type of idiotic reporting about generations. We'll do that when we come back.
We need a quick pit stop. Then Jason DeRusha continues on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I got so many compliments on the jacket I was wearing yesterday from J.H. & Sons. It's Jason here for the Twin Cities' finest men's retailer, J.H. & Sons. It's going to make you think of the good old days, a time where you would go to a men's clothing store and you would see someone you know, and they would ask about your family, and they would ask about what's coming up in your life, what they can do to make you look your best. J.H. & Sons has helped me. Oh, my goodness. Have they helped me up my wardrobe game? Wonderful, wonderful tailored suits, tailored sports coats, and also They hooked me up with some terrific linen shirts and linen pants to go to Miami, go on vacation, be ready for apparently summer, which is happening right here, right now. Go visit my friend. Oh, and JH & Sons this weekend. They just told me about this. This weekend, they've got spring savings in effect. So it's this weekend only. 20% off select spring and summer collection. So it starts today, runs through Sunday. And these are some, Italian menswear lines, 25% off, Eton swimwear, really great stuff. So go check it out. You can get the details at jhandson.com, but go see them at the Galleria. They're in Edina. It's JH & Sons.
Thielen Meats of Pierce is where tradition meets taste.
Family grown, employee owned. We've mastered the art of meat.
That's why we're the #1 meat market in Minnesota.
And we're located right here in Pierce.
Check out our mouthwatering selection at thielenmeats.com.
Better yet, stop in and see for yourself. We're serving up love one cut at a time.
Thielen Meats, from our family to your feast.
No meal's complete without Thielen Meats
of Pierce.
Hey, it's Benita. If your kids have moved out and you have more space in your home than you need, you've probably thought about downsizing and moving somewhere that would require less maintenance. Wouldn't that be nice? If you want to buy a new home, selling the one you're living in now is probably how you would afford it. You need to work with my friend, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Catherine decided to hire the Schuster Group. John's experience and responsiveness really stood out to her. She hired them, and John made the process as quick and easy as possible. That meant 4 offers in 4 days and an offer for thousands over asking price. It made buying her next home much easier. Catherine's happy that she hired John Schuster. Contact John for full details, 952-222-9000, online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Spring. Tried cleaning your air ducts and floors? Helps with allergies. Who has time? Use Coit. They clean air ducts, hardwood floors, upholstery, blinds, carpet, all the stuff that makes spring allergies worse. Great price and guarantee.
Oh, maybe I'll give him a...
Here, use my phone.
Schedule your spring cleaning today and get 35% off. Call 800-FOR-COIT. That's 800-367-2648. Coit. Clean is new. Minimum charge applies. Discount doesn't apply to service charge, restoration, or commercial services. Restrictions apply. Call 800-4-COIT for details.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Going to find slowdowns place traveling Highway 10 westbound, move past Egret, heading up into the work zone as you make way through Hanson Boulevard up to Round Lake Boulevard. Highway 100 jammed up with slow stop between Highway 62 and 394. 169 watching slow stop there between Medicine Lake Road and Highway 62. Terry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jason DeRUSHA here. The Canopy Group represents 16 different insurance companies, not just one. They give you options. Each year, they'll review your program so you don't have to, making sure you get the best coverage at the best price. Do like I did. Go to thecanopygroup.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Another great day here in the Twin Cities. 70 degrees right now. Tonight, we get down to 50. Man, if you're at the Twins game, you hit the jackpot today, didn't you? Tomorrow, 83. Chance of an isolated evening shower. Saturday, 80. Mother's Day, 80s. Wow. What a stretch. Hopefully this never ends. It is sunny on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA
This is potentially the most important discovery in the entire history of mankind.
I agree.
on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Thanks to the Canopy Group for bringing us the weather forecast. Okay, today in the dumbest story that I've read in a long time, millennials have realized that they are no longer cool. The headline on this story in The Guardian: cringe, how millennials became uncool. They are mocked by Gen Z for everything from their trainer socks to their mom jeans and selfie technique. A maligned millennial asks, how did we get here? Chloe, with an umlaut over the E, Hamilton, writes this story that, gosh, I can't imagine. Dan, do you have any idea how on earth millennials may have become uncool? What a shocker for them. It must be astonishing. What happened?
Well, I mean, for the first thing, they hit 40.
Oh,
That'll do it every time.
Well, according to this story, they think the pandemic was the turning point. Many older millennials coming to the end of our party era. The pandemic accelerated that. When we emerged from lockdown, Gen Z had taken over fashion culture. Beauty editor and influencer Laura Pearson, who is 40 but claims she feels no older than 25. Let me explain this to you. When you're like 18 to 30, you are cool. When you are older than 30, you are getting less and less cool. When you host an AM radio show, then it's over.
Nail in the coffin.
Then it's just done. Like when people say things to you like, you seem cool, ...
With that tone of surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, you seem cool for your age. Like, you're not cool. Millennials, did you think, I mean, this to me is what's amazing. And again, millennials are people who are born, what are we saying? Like between 81 and 96. So the oldest millennials, as Dan said, are 40.
44. 43, 44, somewhere in there, yeah.
43, 44. Is that right? If you're born in 96 or 81, you're born in 81. I always do this backwards.
I know.
So you're 44, 45, 46. You're absolutely not cool. But why is this a surprise? Like, this is why Gen Xers look at millennials like millennials are the absolute wackiest generation ever.
Like every generation preceding us hasn't looked at the following generation
Correct.
that way.
It's playing out exactly as it should.
Because you can remember in your life that point at which the light bulb finally went on and you went, oh, yeah, I'm not cool anymore. I'm not young. I'm not hip. Oh, yeah. That light bulb goes on for all of us.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's just going on now for the millennials should not be a surprise to anyone.
No. Yeah. I mean,
we do as Gen Xers get to mock them because then we were mocked by the previous generation.
Yeah, but I don't think
the millennials will mock the Gen Z folks.
I don't think any of us were 40 or 45 and like, what happened? Why am I not cool anymore? Here are 8,000 words analyzing why we're no longer cool. We know why we were no longer cool because we're older. We're old. Now, also with that comes the luxury of not giving a crap.
That is true.
Right? Like, do I want to be cool? Here's a texter. Sorry, I'm not cool. It must be the money I have.
Bang!
Boom! Take that.
Mic drop.
Gen Z. Jay said, it's nice to hear the rest of my generation has finally caught up with me.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, that's where I was. That's
sure.
I mean, I was certainly not cool as a youngster. I think today, like most people who knew me in my 20s would say I am cooler today than I was in my 20s. Still not saying much.
Yeah.
I was just not cool at all.
I think, there's a weird spot, and I don't want to put an age on it, but somewhere in the, in that I don't know, maybe 30 to 45-ish range, where you start to think like you've got stuff figured out to a degree.
Yeah.
You can look back on a period of your life and go, man, I was an idiot when I was 20 years old. But culturally, you're no longer in the heart of things. So it's this weird dichotomy of, oh, I finally feel like I've got my stuff together, but the culture's moved on beyond me.
Yeah.
And I'm still listening to music that I listened to when I was 20 and, that whole bit.
The other day I was listening to Cool 108.
Unironically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. I mean, this hit me a long time. I mean, like I said, just look where we are. Like, we are beyond worried about being cool. Millennials, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
You're going to be just fine. Sign Gen X.
Maybe fewer think pieces, I mean, it's embarrassing.
Well, that's the other thing, though, is, did we have access to be able to write the 8,000 word think piece the way that they do now? I mean,
yeah, you know what? We had real jobs, unlike all of these marketing and PR people.
Look at what we do for a living. Did we really have real jobs?
I mean, you're pushing buttons. That's manual labor.
I'm not exactly digging ditches over here, though.
I mean, I have the weight of this entire legacy radio station sitting on my shoulders.
Okay.
That is exhausting work. Nobody cooler than Drive Time with DeRUSHA on the big 830 WCC.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686, and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now, and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
Get to Certix at University in Hennepin in advance of Mother's Day. It's Jason here for my friends at Certix. I love this family. I love this store. Certix is a total vibe and an experience. They're cool over there at Certix, and they got you covered for Mother's Day. Right now, if you go to Certix.com, you can see the amazing gift baskets that they have for Mom's Day. Now, you can do a gift card. That's always a winner. You can do... Yeah, here they are. I'm trying to find these gift baskets to show you. They're so cool because they've got cheese from the Certix Cheese Shop. You can even call what beverage you want in there. Do you want beer? Do you want cider? Do you want a non-alcoholic beverage? Do you want champagne? Certix will get it all taken care of for you. So order online at Certix.com or go to the store. Say hi. Tell them you heard it on Drive Time at University in Hennepin. That's Certix.
We are Minnesota. We are News Talk 830 WCCO 1029 KMNB HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. There was a surprise today when we learned there was a new pope, and he's American.
Unsure but hopeful. Hopefully that's how I'm feeling about having an American pope.
He's Cardinal Robert Prevost, who has taken the name of Leo XIV. CBS's Nora O'Donnell.
Just an extraordinary moment, because the thought has always been that cardinals would not choose an American. Why? Because, quite frankly, the future of the Catholic Church is not considered to be in America. It's considered in other parts of the world where Catholicism is growing, like in Africa and in Asia. And in fact, the number of Catholics in America is dwindling.
In Chicago, where he is from, celebration. Reporter Suzanne Lavigno spoke to parishioners at Holy Name Cathedral.
So many of them speaking to me with tears streaming down their cheeks at the news that we have a cardinal, not just a cardinal from America, but but a cardinal from Chicago. Many are hoping, because of his Peruvian heritage as well, that he becomes a voice for immigrants across the world.
He has spent his career in Peru as a missionary. President Trump announced the first trade deal from the tariff talks today and promised more. Talks with China are set for this weekend.
I think we're going to have a good weekend with China. I think they have a lot to gain. I do think they have far more to gain than we do, in a sense.
Today's deal with Britain isn't so much a full-fledged free trade deal, but focuses on specific sectors. And though there were not a lot of specifics, Boeing was mentioned. CBS's Kelly O'Grady.
This potential Boeing deal, we don't know who the big buyer of planes would be, but that could potentially offset some of the revenue lost from China putting a stop on buying from Boeing.
The Trump administration wants a multi-billion-dollar overhaul of the air traffic control system. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said today the plan calls for 6 new air traffic control centers, along with technology and communications upgrades at all of the nation's facilities.
This is going to allow us to better manage the airspace, to allow the airlines to better manage their flights. So when you take off, you actually fly and you land. You don't circle airports.
The head of FEMA was fired today and escorted from the agency by DHS officials. Cameron Hamilton, who was acting administrator, told Congress just yesterday that he didn't believe it was in the best interest of the American people to eliminate the agency. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says it will no longer track the cost of weather disasters, including floods, heat waves, and wildfires. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Sunny, 69 degrees at 4:03. I'm Laura Oakes. The head of the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis is excited and optimistic about Pope Leo, the first American pope in history elected in Rome today. Archbishop Bernard Hebda says he was very surprised an American cardinal was chosen.
We're seen as being somewhat distant from the church in Rome, just in terms of our own experience. And then the second part of it would be the political matter. So how is it that the Holy Father is able to deal with President Trump, for example, or whoever our American president would those ties be too close or too distant?
The new Pope, 69-year-old Cardinal Robert Prevost, is originally from Chicago and spent most of his career as a missionary in Peru. Minnesota Congresswoman Kelly Morrison is sounding the alarm about the Trump administration's proposed cuts to Medicaid.
This isn't about hypotheticals. This isn't speculation. The basic math has repeatedly shown that if Medicaid were to be cut by $880 billion, millions of people would lose health coverage across the country, and hospitals in Minnesota will be forced to cut services or shut down entirely.
Medicaid is a joint program run by states and the federal government, covering 71 million adults. House Republicans are said to have backed off the most drastic possibilities after hearing from constituents and following a nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office report indicating millions of Americans would lose their health care coverage. Morrison, who is also a physician, says the cuts have not yet been finalized, and she's urging Minnesotans to speak out and help create public pressure on Washington. Twin Cities police officers are learning how to support one another in what can be an extremely stressful job.
Chiefs from several police departments recently went through a 4-day wellness training program to help their peers. President of the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Association, Jay Henthorn.
Departments across the state deal with critical incidents, tragedies, and situations that test the boundaries of mental health and wellness. Many departments have wellness programs for staff that help dissipate the stigma of asking for help in dealing with mental health concerns.
It's like giving each other a shoulder to lean on. Eagan Police Chief Roger New.
How are we taking care of the leaders to continue to lead these organizations and move things forward in communities? And I think that this week's training was a key component of helping do that.
The training provided such things as stress reduction techniques, how to listen to one another, and the do's and don'ts of peer support. Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
A new bill signed into law by Governor Walz today expands support for service dogs in training. Can Do Canines Executive Director Jeff Johnson says volunteers have been shut out from participating in training due to restrictions placed on them by homeowners associations.
It is the biggest challenge that we have is finding volunteers to do that for us because it's not a small ask at all. And since I've been at Can Do Canines, I've had multiple people tell me that they would raise dogs for us, but for their HOAs prohibiting that. That changes today.
Under the law, service dog trainers working with an accredited organization will be protected and given the same housing rights as people with fully trained service dogs. Nothing better than day baseball and evening basketball. The Twins played this afternoon right here on CCO. The Wolves tip off against Golden State in Game 2 of their playoff series at 7:30. And that had at least one fan thinking he may pull double duty.
Going to the Twins game, and then we'll see where it takes us from the evening.
So you may or may not go to the Wolves.
Who knows? Who knows? It's all just got to be flexible and see what happens.
There you go. It's nice that you're able to do that.
Yes, well, it's nice to be downtown Minneapolis. It's nice to partake in the activity and see all the people around.
No word on what Matt has decided to do with the rest of his day. Maybe he's listening to the Drive Time with DeRUSHA show.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't
He's
either.
just taking life as it comes at him.
He might be down on the sidewalk.
This is my approach, though. Like, I don't know. If you were to ask me, Jason, are you going to go to the Timberwolves game? I mean, let's see where the night takes.
That's right. See?
I don't know. Let's see if anyone has any free tickets they want to give me. I mean, that's what this guy is saying, right? Someone's maybe going to give me a ticket.
Maybe he's saying that, or maybe he's just thinking he's going to go hang out at the bars.
Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a beautiful night for
Perfect
it, isn't it?
night.
All right.
It's 4:07 on WCCO.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Just south of downtown Minneapolis, update brought to you by Treasure Island Resort and Casino on South 35W at 35th Street. Got a multi-car crash working. The center lanes are blocked, and then just beyond that, a couple more cars involved in this crash. They ran to the right lane. Traffic is jammed up as you come down from Washington Avenue. East 94 near Groveland. Earlier crash has been taken care of. Still the slowdowns through downtown Minneapolis for East 94, 55 heading over toward Riverside. And you're going to find some heavy stuff in place traveling 694 both directions between Lexington and 252. Prepare for a mesmerizing evening of music when Hailstorm, Lindsey Sterling, and special guest Apocalyptica bring the Everest Duality Tour to Treasure Island Amphitheater. Hear electrifying hits like I Miss the Misery and Apocalyptic from Hailstorm, and Crystallize and Roundabout a round table rival for Lindsey Sterling Friday, September 26th. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Clogged gutters? Call the pros. Advantage Home Pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Seamless gutter installation, cleaning, and covers. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Advantage Home Pros. Experience the advantage at AdvantageHomePros.com. And here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Clear and quiet tonight as we fall back to 50 degrees. Then tomorrow, the heat is on Glen Fry. Partly cloudy with a high of 83. We'll notice the clouds increase right around supper time. There could be a few isolated showers. Sunny and 80 on Saturday. 87 the forecast high for the moms on Mother's Day.
Sunny right now, 69 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Not just a radio station, it's where Minnesota comes to talk. News Talk 830. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise.
I'm super excited to introduce to you
Jason DeRUSHA.
I don't know. All the musical references at the end of the newscast there. All right. I mean, I'll give you your Glenn Fry. That's fine. But didn't you also want to hear a little bit of Jerry Peterson's favorite, Apocalyptica? Here comes some Apocalyptica. Oh boy. They're like, heavy metal, orchestral. Yeah. If JP is still listening, I will give him $20 if he can say the name of this band 3 times. JP, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
What is the band that's appearing at Treasure Island?
Isn't Apocalyptica? Did I say that right?
I think
I hope I'm saying it right.
No, I think-
Apocalyptica. Apocalyptica.
Yes!
Apocalyptica.
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge Apocalyptica guy. It's a cello metal band from Finland. So
Really? I did not know that.
they perform instrumental music with cello. They do Metallica concerts. I don't know. Good. You know what? Good for them. Good for Treasure Island. Go see Apocalyptica. It's hard to say. 4/11. It's Pope Day. Happy Pope Day to those who celebrate today. The news emerged from the chimney at the Vatican that a new pope has been selected. And, well, I can't wait to talk to Father Chris Collins over at the University of St. Thomas because, Father Collins, it's good to have you with us. You were on the show yesterday as we were talking about the conclave. Did you even imagine that there was a possibility that an American would end up emerging there as the new pope?
I'd like to say, sure, I figured this would be happening. I am totally shocked. I'm stunned, along with, I think, a lot of people today. It is really unbelievable.
It is shocking, right? For many different reasons. It's shocking because when you look at the church and the areas of the around the world where the Catholic Church is growing, America is not one of those areas. And you don't think of the United States as even a sort of, I mean, there's a lot of Catholic thought going on here, but when you look at the direction of the church, I don't know that you think of the United States as the center of that activity. I'm just very surprised as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was always maybe kind of two maxims about who would never be a pope. One was there would never be a Jesuit, and that happened. And then the other one is there would never be an American, and now it's happened. So it really is pretty stunning. I mean, obviously with his experience, deep experience and long experience in Latin America, that makes him a different kind of candidate, and obviously a much more global view, and huge amounts of Catholic population in Latin America, obviously, and his work in Rome too gave him a big global perspective. So though his origins are American, he obviously has a big global vision too. So, but it's still pretty stunning.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about that because obviously, in typical American fashion, we are, he's ours. We're taking it.
Right.
And he didn't speak any. There was no reference to Chicago. There was no. He said hello and sent a greeting to Peru. He did not speak in English. He spoke in Spanish. So I just wonder, and maybe you don't know this, but I wonder if he will think of himself as an American pope.
Who knows? I don't know the man, but honestly, with the deep, long pastoral history that he's had in Latin America, I think that for sure changes how you certainly see the world, but also see yourself, and who you identify with when you're, especially learning to be a priest. I know for myself, when I was first ordained, it was just a couple of years, but I worked on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota, and that's hugely formative as a new priest to minister in a different kind of culture and setting, and it shapes your imagination differently, shapes your heart differently. So, I mean, that's got to be very deep roots in him. Obviously, he's got his family and his upbringing and his friends and so on in Chicagoland, but yeah, he's had very substantive formation of his vision and desires and inclinations, I think, in other parts of the world. So.
Father Christopher Collins is with the University of St. Thomas. He is a member of the Society of Jesus. He's a Jesuit. What, as far as you've been doing the same thing that I'm sure all of us have been doing, sort of reading up and trying to learn what we can.
Right.
Here in America, there's been a lot made about the fact that the Pope, before he was the Pope, a couple hours ago when he was just a guy, some of the tweets. So he was on Twitter, like so many of us are. But when he was tweeting as Robert Francis Prevost, there were a number of retweets of sort of anti-Trump policies, sort of disagreeing with the president's approach on immigration. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's who knows what it is about Trump, but the fact that he chose the name Leo XIV, I think, is really important. Just a little quick church history. Leo XIII, the last one with that name, was at the end of the 19th century. And he really created, or was kind of the originator, you might say, of what's called the Catholic social teaching tradition, where the church really systematically started to approach big social issues, like, especially in that time of industrialization, the rights of workers and the dignity of labor and the huge gaps between the rich and the poor. And so that started a whole tradition. Every pope since then has offered teachings addressing big issues like that. Like for Pope Francis, he also talked about the need for human solidarity and care for our common home and the environment and how that affects the poor if the environment's degraded. So the fact that he chose Leo, I think, is a real cue that those elements of Catholic social teaching that has the dignity of every human person at the center, that's got to shape everything, and that's got to shape his own priorities. It's not just him personally, but it's the life of the church. But it gets back to actually what we talked about yesterday, the individual person and the sanctity of every person, and especially if they are being mistreated or oppressed or marginalized or caught in war, the needs of those people have to be first and foremost in a just society. So I mean, I think he's coming at those issues, no doubt, from that Catholic social teaching tradition, and I think that's the thing that's prominent for me in the fact that he chose that name. So
yeah, and I think it's difficult, and we talked about this yesterday as well, as we speak with Father Christopher Collins for the University of St. Thomas. The fact that Americans, we filter everything through that sort of the way we analyze politics and all of that.
Yeah.
So seeing people say like, well, this must be, the fact that he retweeted policies that were anti-Trump, this is the church sending a message that's anti-Trump. I don't buy that. Do you?
Maybe he's not obsessed with whoever the particular politician is at any given time. What he's concerned about is people, people globally, and especially those who are in vulnerable socioeconomic and political situations. And that's constantly the message of the church. Politicians come and go, and there's differences with different ideas on the right and the left. But that's why the social teaching tradition is so important, because it cuts through and it doesn't easily settle into this political wing or that political wing. There's something uncomfortable about it for everybody, actually.
The fact that he was such a close advisor to Pope Francis, does that signal? I've read that he is considered more centrist, but he was in charge of picking bishops all over the world. He certainly was aligned with the way that Pope Francis saw the church, and he did shout out. I suppose anyone who got picked would probably give some respect to Pope Francis in the address today, but to me that was noteworthy too.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the fact that obviously Francis trusted him. I don't know how long they actually knew each other, but, and Francis laid out those priorities of choosing bishops. That's a big job. And what's characteristic of Francis, which was passed through Cardinal Prevost, was really prioritizing choosing pastors, like people who have deep, parish experience with regular people on the ground, and as opposed to maybe more academically inclined bishops or like diplomat types. Or so the fact that it's just kind of, again, back to basics, bread and butter, parish life. That's who Francis largely was choosing as a lot of bishops, and that was apparently that was simpatico with Cardinal Prevost too. That same kind of approach,
Pretty wild. I from a human standpoint, and you as a priest yourself, think about the fact that this morning, this was Robert Prevost, man of God. He had dedicated his life to Catholicism and to preaching and to people. And now you're the Pope. It's sort of amazing, the fact, this is a real, like, one moment you're another kind of holy guy working in the Vatican. The next moment you're the Pope. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, and that's it.
That's
it for the rest of your life. Like with Francis, he had to cancel his round trip ticket and never went back home. It's really dramatic, and that's the call to serve the rest of your life in that capacity. It has got to be pretty sobering, I would imagine.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Father Christopher Collins from the University of St. Thomas. We appreciate the insight. Thanks for hanging with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
421, we are going to break. In about 10 minutes, we're going to talk about the impact of federal cuts to research budgets, and a big effort going on this weekend to try to make sure that there is still money to look for research when it comes to children's health. That's coming up in 10 minutes. You can stream us at any time. We're on YouTube. We would love for you to subscribe to the WCCO Radio YouTube account. Doesn't cost you anything. Go to youtube.com/WCCO Radio.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRUSHA coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right, let's talk about family farmers. Let's talk about Minnesotans. Let's talk about Minnesota pork. It's Jason here for my friends at the Minnesota Pork Board. So grateful for their support here on Drive Time with DeRUSHA. And these family pig farmers, every corner of this state, are working so hard to take care of their pigs, take care of their people, and take care of the planet too. I have been struck by so many multi-generational farms. So your mom and dad farmed, your grandma and grandpa farmed, your great-grandma and great-grandpa farmed. And carrying on that tradition, today it's often falling to younger generations, millennials, Gen Z, who are out there figuring out what the future is going to be of Minnesota pigs, Minnesota pork. They care about the environment, they care about the water, they care about the land just like you and I do. And they are looking at the latest research, the latest best practices to make sure they're doing that in a way that keeps their farm around for generations to come. To me, it makes me feel good about going to my grocery store, the butcher shop. And I ask for it by name. Check the package. Ask your butcher. Let's make sure we're supporting our neighbors. Let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight.
You sit on your deck, and you're sick of looking at your crappy siding. Type JTR on your computer for roofing, siding, gutters, windows, and more. JTR Roofing has you covered from the roof on down, serving the Twin Cities Metro. For a free estimate, visit jtrroofinginc.com.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
Denny Long back once again with Ron Esau from Great Garage Floors. Ron and his company came out to my house years ago, and I love that epoxy floor. I know we're going to talk about how easy it is to keep clean, Ron, but there's absolutely no pressure, is there?
Yeah, we just come out really to try to educate the customer on how we do our process, and we give you a quote, and there's really no pressure to get it done. We want you to think about your spring projects, line them up, and if this is a priority this year, we'll get it done for you.
And you bring samples of that work too, don't you?
You sure bet we do.
And this is a good time of year, not only, to keep the garage floor clean for spring and summer and fall, but graduation parties. We always like to talk about that too, don't we?
Yeah, they come up and, this is the backup room. This is the backup room for that rain that may come, or a big windy day, or you want to set up the buffet. It's a nice, good-looking spot to do that.
952-473-8600, or get on the web at greatgaragefloorsforyou.com.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you, you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's let the engine do the talking, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 20% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Drive Time with DeRUSHA. Now video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Just want to take a moment to note that the city of St. Paul has ended, well, not quite ended. Rent control, man. It is interesting. Like, all of us sit around and have ideas, right? Like, you're sitting around the fire. You're like, you know what I think we should do? I think we should do. Never have another bike lane. Or, if I were in charge, I wouldn't let those dang landlords kind of raise rent. And for most of us, we just, we leave these ideas where they belong, which is in the fire pit. The city of St. Paul wanted to be a national example, and they are a national example of what not to do. The best rent control is more housing, more competition. Because if you're a renter, it's not like it's super easy to pack up and move to another place, but it's not that hard. If you can save $100 a month, you'll pack up and move, right? You can save $500 a month. So you have this competition when it comes to rent. The Twin Cities, when you look all around the country, has had lower rent increases than other parts of the country. So the city council, and it was, I don't know that I should fully pin this on the city council because it was voters who voted for this. But there were a lot of activists and a lot of city council members who pushed for it. And at the beginning, when the election happened to get rid, basically voters said, yes, we want rent control. It was on the ballot in 2021. The idea was to put a 3% cap on annual rent increases, which I would just say is crazy to have the government saying this. I mean, do we have a cap on how much people can raise, how much the government assessors can raise on what your house is worth? I don't think so. But we got a great real world example of what happens when you implement rent control. And Dan, what happened in St. Paul when they implemented?
People stopped building.
Oh, huh. Now, I remember in 2020 and 2021 when this campaign was going on, and the developers were saying, well, no one will build in St. Paul. And the people pushing this were like, wow, that's just what they're saying. They're going to want to be in St. Paul. Well, as it turns out, when you are St. Paul and you have Minneapolis right next door and you have the suburbs all over the place, developers said, we're not doing it. And they didn't build. It is a national example now. And I think the example is that rent control doesn't work. It just does not work. There's a reason that we don't see this in effect. Now, I get it. Do you want to help protect renters? Yeah, because it sucks when you sign in and then your rent goes sky high. But maybe make it easier for people to build more housing. Then you'll have more competition. That is the rent control to me. This does not work. Now they're rolling it back. And frankly, like, I'm a little concerned that the rollback still kind of screws you if you are like a small time. So basically, rent caps are being eliminated for any building that got a certificate of occupancy after 2004. So if you're Dan Cook and you own one building that got a certificate of occupancy in 1987, sorry, you still get rent control. But if you're the New Jersey Teachers Pension Association that owns some building that goes up, you get protection. So I don't know that I just think the whole rent control doesn't work. You got to repeal all of it. But rolling it back is a nice start because we need more action, more building, more housing, especially in St. Paul. 4:31, we're going to break. You have heard discussion about cutbacks when it comes to NIH funding. That is having an impact, and we heard it in the news. The U of M is speaking out about it. There's a big fundraising effort going on this weekend in relation to Children's Hospital to try to do that, do something about it. We'll talk about that next.
Drive Time with DeRUSHA is hitting the off-ramp for a quick stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Summer is coming. Summer is coming. You can feel it out there, can't you? It's Jason here for Window Nation. Great local team right here in the Twin Cities, ready to come and do a free estimate at your home. Window Nation right now, I got to tell you, this is an unbelievable time to reach out to the team at Window Nation because price hikes are coming. We're seeing it all throughout the economy. It's not just Windows specific, but there's no doubt that price hikes are coming. Window Nation is saying, nope, not yet. We are keeping costs low. Our windows are assembled in America. 60% off all window styles right now. You can get a whole home worth of windows, save 60%, and they say, you know what? How about a new front entry door? You need a new door. Your house is going to look amazing. The windows are incredibly efficient. They use the best windows on the market. And then the local team is awesome. You go to windownation.com, schedule that free estimate. They'll come to your house and bring the showroom to you. 866-90-NATION. That's the number. I want you to call it right now. 866-90-NATION. Or go online, visit windownation.com.
Special Agent Starling. Phone call. Excuse me, Joe. Starling.
Hello, Clarice. Have WCCO fans stopped screaming about the tariffs?
Where are you, Dr. Lecter?
Somewhere quiet, sipping a nice Chianti and listening to WCCO. You should also tune in.
You know I can't make that promise.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. It's based on a recent DeRUSHA Eats segment. Bye. Clarice had questions. You have questions.
Dr. Lecter.
There's no silence of the fans here. News Talk 830 WCCO.
The peace lily is so last year. Hey, has anyone worked with fiddlenecks?
Shelby's popular flower shop is in full bloom.
We just got a request for an arrangement that evokes air. Who's up for that challenge? No?
She needs to hire a floral designer to nip foliage faux pas in the bud.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey, it's Vanita. Nobody wants to wait forever for their home to sell, but it happens. We've all driven past that neighbor's house and seen the same for sale sign up for months at a time. If you don't work with the right real estate agent, that can be you. Avoid it by hiring my friend, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Rick and Nancy decided to hire the John Schuster Group, and they did the right thing. Before calling John, they tried another agent. Their home sat on the market for over a year. Then they hired John. His marketing system helped him sell their home in just 2 weeks. It reaches so many people every single day that he routinely sells homes much faster for the most money possible. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000 online. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Jackson Hewitt has a plan to get your tax refund fast. With a buck here, buck there. Here a buck, there a buck, everywhere a buck.
You don't have to wait weeks for your tax refund. Get money sooner with a no-fee refund advance loan at Jackson Hewitt.
On this loan, there's a money today guarantee. E-I-E-I-Do.
Don't settle for chicken feed. Get fast bucks at Jackson Hewitt today. No-fee refund advance loans by Republic Bank offered to eligible clients. Money today guarantee if approved for a loan on a prepaid card. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
You've heard the buzz about IT jobs and cybersecurity and AI, right? Why not prepare for a career in these fields and take advantage of the high demand? You could enjoy a more rewarding and recession-resistant lifestyle. Train in just a few short months at My Computer Career. Are you a veteran, active duty military, or already in IT? Skill up for positions employers need to fill. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Shop in store online. Some problems for West 94, the area of Cedar Avenue. The right lane is closed. They're having some problems with the pavement. So I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do here, but it looks like it's going to need some emergency repair work. West 94 at Cedar Avenue. Again, the right lane is closed. Traffic is stacked up and backed up as you make way past Snelling Avenue, making way toward downtown Minneapolis. South 35W jammed up into the downtown stretch as well as you come down from Hennepin Avenue. 694 slowdowns continue both directions between basically Lexington and 252. Build a self-care routine at Whole Foods Market. Save 33% on body care and candles with Prime through May 13th. Treat yourself with luscious moisturizers, soothing essential oils, and more while supplies last. Shop in store online. Terms apply. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jason DeRUSHA here. The Canopy Group represents 16 different insurance companies, not just one. They give you options. Each year, they'll review your program so you don't have to, making sure you get the best coverage at the best price. Do like I did. Go to thecanopygroup.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Canopy Group bringing us the forecast. Here's Chris Schaefer.
We'll drop back to about 50 degrees in the Twin Cities overnight tonight with a clear sky. Sunshine early. We'll see some clouds late afternoon when we warm up to about 83. It's a cold front coming through that could trigger a few isolated showers. We clear out tomorrow night. Dry for the fishing opener on Saturday. Mostly sunny with a high near 80. Windy and warm for Mother's Day with a high around 87.
Brooklyn Park, it's sunny and 70 on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
I think this is just all a bunch of hubbubaloo and a waste of time.
You're not wrong.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRUSHA. He has the eats.
Nobody brings you the Twin Cities restaurant scene like our favorite foodie. Now, Jason explores some of the great chefs, owners, and stories right in our own backyard as Drive Time transitions into DeRUSHA Eats.
And DeRUSHA Eats is brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board and our friends at Surdyk's Liquor and Cheese Shop. This weekend, winemakers from around California, around Sonoma County, are here in the Twin Cities to raise money for the University of Minnesota's Masonic Children's Hospital, M Health Fairview. The University of Minnesota has been talking about NIH grants, and these National Institute of Health grants fund the U of M to the tune of $100 to $130 million. Losing that money will have a massive impact on the hospital. Nick Engblom is with the University of Minnesota Foundation. He helps bring these winemakers to Minnesota to raise money for the Children's Hospital. Nick, it's good to see you.
I'm excited to be back. I feel like every year when I step foot into the studio, I know it's Winefest weekend because it's always the Thursday with you to kick it off. So thanks, Jason, for having me on.
That's right. I do think that this year, with what is going on in the national political environment, anyone who's been paying attention knows that there have been cutbacks to research grants, to funding. I don't know if people realize how much of an impact that potentially could make when it comes to research into children's health.
Yeah, I mean, we had our dean speak last night at an event, and this is scary for our researchers. We've seen positions already cut. We're seeing research being halted. There are things there, and I'm not going to say what I know is happening or not know because I am a little uneducated on what is getting taken away and what's not.
And it's sort of in flux. And
right.
People have different. You can have your political views. That's not really the point. The reality is, like, there is a major change going on in terms of how this work is or isn't going to be funded.
Let's put in perspective for our listeners, right? So I'm 39 years old. I'm going to tell you my age. Growing up, I never had to worry about maybe my life being in risk, right? I had asthma and all that. So I'm a father now with a 6 and a 4-year-old. I look at 39 years of medical advances, right? We're talking about cancer survival rates that used to be in the 20 percentile, now past 80% because of research. We're seeing cystic fibrosis children live long lives because of machines that were created that were most likely funded through NIH grants plus philanthropy. Now I'm thinking about my 6 and 4-year-old and me at 39 saying when I turn 60, are my kids going to be okay?
Yeah.
Will the next research advances that would protect them and their kids, will we continue to make those advances? I don't know. I think so, but I don't have a crystal ball, but this scares me, right? Because I know that there are hundreds of millions of dollars that will be stopped being given to the University of Minnesota for research initiatives through the NIH.
Nick Engblom, yeah, it could be. Nick Engblom is with us, and not that philanthropy can fill in all of the gaps, but it is a way as a community that we can step forward and say, we do care about this. We do want the University of Minnesota to continue to be a leader in this area, and we care about our kids.
We are blessed to have some of the best medical facilities and institutions in the country. I'll say it right now, and I'll put my foot down that Minnesota is an amazing healthcare state. We've got Mayo, we've got the U, we've got amazing hospitals and clinics. We've got amazing research.
Yep.
And the only reason why we have that is we've got great support systems. We've got unbelievable leaders and innovators in the state. But I will say philanthropists play a key role in how these facilities look, how they feel, the research we're doing, because those dollars come in from people that have been impacted by these institutions. I mean, we're talking about the Blythe Brendans of the world. We're talking about Dick Schultz. We're talking about people that have given hundreds of millions of dollars to these facilities because they were seen, treated, or have been impacted by it, right? And so moving forward, philanthropy is going to be just as key as it always has been, and maybe more, right?
Maybe more.
There's going to be projects out there that need funding that they're like, the NIH will not be able to do this anymore. So what do we need? We need $100,000 to keep this position going.
So part of how the University of Minnesota does that is through Winefest. And it's a multi-day fundraiser, really focusing on wine. This is the 28th year of doing it. And Winefest number 28 really gets going tonight. So I MC the fine wine dinner on Saturday night. But I thought it'd be fun for you guys to hear from one of the winemakers who is here. And he makes a wine called Argot, A-R-G-O-T. But he's a Chicago guy. And I thought, today, with the Chicagoan who has become the Pope, why not talk? And this guy was a heartbeat away from being picked Pope. No, absolutely not. But he is a winemaker. And he's in town talking about Argot Winery. All of the winemakers are from Sonoma. And so I wanted to know, sort of what is, when the University of Minnesota goes out to Justin Harmon from Argot Wines and says, like, can you come to Minnesota and talk about and help us raise money? What sort of reaction do you get? So here's a little bit of the conversation I had with Justin earlier today, talking about his first impression of coming to Minnesota.
One of the things that struck me right off the bat with Minnesota. Like you guys, you walk through the airport, there are all the coffee mugs with the state of Minnesota and the word nice in the middle. And,
yes.
You guys take being nice really seriously.
It's true.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of other places, certainly around the United States, if not the world, could use a little bit more of that. But what also immediately struck me about Minnesota was the wine IQ here was really elevated. Incredible wine IQ. I come from Chicago. I come from a family where there was never a bottle of wine on the table.
Same. My parents barely drank.
Yeah, maybe it was a sign of the times. I don't think wine was quite as much a part of the culture at that point, but yeah, it's just my parents really didn't drink that much, maybe.
How did you end up? Because you went from Chicago, you had a life before you had a life in wine, right?
Yeah, so I have no connections to the industry. I fell in love with wine as a consumer. My background from an education standpoint is chemical engineering, which has some overlap with winemaking.
Yeah.
But at the time that I really started to get into wine, I was writing software for a living. And I lived down the block from one of the all-time great retail shops in the country called Sam's Wine and Spirits. They don't exist anymore, unfortunately. But I would walk down there and grab a couple bottles of wine, and the staff was incredibly knowledgeable. It was, just to give you a little context, the store itself was the size of a small Target. And it was the same thing, 30-foot
pretty big
ceilings.
for
very big.
Yeah.
And beer, spirits, wine, and every single region had its own had its own section with its own people on the staff, and they were incredibly knowledgeable.
So really specialists.
Walk around tastings. You pay $25 to get in the door. You get to taste all these wines that I would never have had a chance to taste, and that's where my knowledge began to grow. And I fell in love with everything about wine, not just wine itself, but the history of it, the culture surrounding it, all the different wine regions, and just sort of like picturing it in my mind, and all these bottles of wine that I never thought I'd get a chance to taste, reading about them. And
pretty cool story from Justin, who just followed a dream, right? He's like, oh, I want to try this. Justin Harmon from Argo Wines. Now, if you are touched by the idea of trying to help the researchers at the University of Minnesota, you can donate at thewinefest.org. Thewinefest.org. So you can go on there. There's like silent auction list, volunteer chance, but also these Sonoma County winemakers are all here in Minnesota over the next couple days. So pretty fun. You might, at your favorite bottle shop, you might see tastings from some of these folks as they're sampling their stuff. So pretty good deal. And we'll upload the full conversation. Justin's story is fascinating on how he ended up getting into winemaking, and the longer conversation with Nick Engblom, where we talk about the wine scene in the Twin Cities. So that'll be online for you tomorrow on the DeRUSHA Eats podcast. So look for DeRUSHA Eats online, subscribe to that, and we appreciate it. DeRUSHA Eats is brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board and Certix. Coming up next, plastic straws. Plastic straws. Donald Trump. There are a lot of Trump policies that I disagree with vocally. Man, yesterday I'm on board with like making the toilet flush a little more vigorously. And today we're talking straws when we come back.
More Drive Time with DeRusha is on the way following these messages on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Arms are out, baby. It's Lindahl time. Jason here for my friend Chris Lindahl. Over the last couple weeks, Chris was telling me today that they have closed so many guaranteed cash offer deals. They're just cranking through these guaranteed cash offer deals, and it's for good reason. We don't know what's going on with interest rates. We don't know what's going on with the housing market. We do know that Chris Lindahl will get you to closing and get you to the finish line. That's a big deal, man. You might need to sell your house quickly. So many reasons why you need to sell. Maybe a financial change in your family, maybe a family change, maybe a job change. Life happens, and the guaranteed cash offer is the best way to maximize your money and minimize your stress. No open houses, nobody digging through your stuff, no issues. Hassle-free. And you go right to chrislindahl.com, click on the guaranteed cash offer, and off you go. How much is your home really worth? You put in your home address, and the Lindahl team goes to work. Don't wait. Find out what your home is worth. Get a guaranteed cash offer. You're in control of the whole process. There are terms and conditions which may apply, but Chris Lindahl, there's a reason. I trust him. 30,000 people have done the guaranteed cash offer. Find out more at chrislindahl.com.
Heading out for the weekend? Lucky you.
Don't forget to stop at Thaler Meats of Piers for some melt-in-your-mouth moments.
High quality beef.
Fresh and smoked sausages and brats.
Home smoked bacon.
All natural chicken.
A great selection of fish and seafood.
Visit us at ThelanMeats.com.
We've got the cuts that'll make your meal.
Call to order ahead and pick up on your way to the lake.
You'll be the hit of the party.
No meal's complete without Thielen Meats
of Piers.
Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro Heating and Cooling.
An air conditioner at Metro Heating and Cooling is, on average, only $5,400 installed. Find out more at metroheating.com.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my right arm, but my right elbow took most of the damage with 3 surgeries.
Arthritis developed, and the pain was unbearable.
It wasn't just pain when I was trying to play sports. It was anytime I was moving the right elbow. It was pretty excruciating at times.
That's when Jose discovered QC Kinetics and their regenerative treatments that help the body heal itself, restoring damaged tissue and providing relief with no surgery or downtime. Jose's message to the medical professionals at QC Kinetics:
my elbow is feeling outstanding. Where were you 10 years ago, for crying out loud?
QC Kinetics is right here. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 612-254-7123. That's 612-254-7123. 612-254-7123.
Experience Wheel of Fortune live at Treasure Island. You can be selected to play the game for your chance to win incredible prizes when the iconic show rolls into the island on Saturday and Sunday, October 18th and 19th. Get your tickets now at ticasino.com.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by American Rare Coin and Collectibles. Find them at AmericanRareCoinAndCollectibles.com. It's single lane, West 94th Cedar Avenue, with some problems with the pavement. That's why the right lane is shut down. Traffic is jammed and crammed as you come in from Cretin. North 169 and 114th Street, up on the north side of the metro. Crash working there. South 35W to Highway 62. Accident in place. Activity on both sides. When a loved one passes or it's time to settle an estate, the valuables left behind can feel overwhelming. At American Rare Coin and Collectibles in Bloomington, they can help navigate these moments with clarity and care. Peace of mind starts with your appointment, AmericanRareCoinAndCollectibles.com. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Clogged gutters? Call the pros. Advantage Home Pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Seamless gutter installation, cleaning, and covers. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Advantage Home Pros. Experience the advantage of AdvantageHomePros.com. Bring us the Chris Schaefer weather forecast, which is just more of the same awesomeness. Tonight, low of 50. Tomorrow, 83. Isolated evening showers. Saturday, 80. Sunday, Mother's Day, dry and 80. Crazy. 66 is the average high. Right now, it's 70 on CCO.
Jason DeRUSHA.
That's just how we roll right here on the Big 830.
Yeah. Send the segment in for the Peabody. We're ready.
On News Talk 830, WCCO.
I don't like paper straws. I don't like it. And you might remember back in February, President Trump issued an executive order that required federal agencies and departments to stop buying paper straws and to make sure they weren't offered in their building, because the Trump White House is taking on the most important issues of the day. Look, I love the environment. I recycle, I compost, I try to use less. I have driven my wife crazy because I got paper towels out of the house. Are you a paper towel user, Dan?
Not nearly as much as I used to be. I do have them in my apartment, but I rarely go through them.
So we got some back because Alyssa was irritated with me. But I bought like a big thing of like little white like towels you'd use in a restaurant kitchen. I'm like, we don't need all these paper towels. Too many paper towels. And like, I just want a dang plastic straw. I don't want it. I don't want the straw to disintegrate. I mean, we're hitting summertime where it's like having an iced tea. You get one of those dumb paper straws. I'm with Trump. We're talking about banning them in Maine. That is on brand for Maine, isn't it? I mean, I guess they're a little more concerned about the wildlife issue, but come on. If this is the last straw when it comes to the environment, we've already lost the battle, right?
Have you seen the wind or hail affect your home? Honest Exteriors offers thorough inspections and can be your advocate with those tricky insurance companies. From the first raindrop to the final nail, Honest Exteriors is with you. Local pros, honest work. HonestExteriors.com.
Hey, it's Jason here from my friends at Tureen Dermatology. I love Dr. Mohiba Tureen and her team. I really do. They are top-notch human beings as well as incredible dermatologists. And this month is Skin Cancer Awareness Month. 1 in 5 of you will develop skin cancer by the time you turn 70. My dad had skin cancer. My father-in-law has skin cancer. He's being treated over at Tureen Dermatology. Just 5 sunburns can double your risk of melanoma. So it's going to be so warm and sunny over the next couple days. Please wear sunscreen. Please consider wearing a hat. And please consider a full body skin checkup. That full body skin checkup can catch melanoma early. And if you catch it early, melanoma has a 99% survival rate. You can schedule that skin check at Tureen, Tareen, dermatology.com. 9 locations. They're new in Lakeville and Lindstrom. That's Tureen Dermatology.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s, and less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
News that matters. Conversations that count. News Talk 830 WCCO. 1029 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm Cammie McCormick. There is a new Pope, Leo XIV, and he's American.
I think nobody really expected it to be an American, and so it's just really, really beautiful.
CBS's Bradley Blackburn.
This is an extraordinary moment for American Catholics, seeing Leo XIV on the balcony, the first Pope born in the United States, who is now spiritual leader for nearly 1.5 billion people.
He's the least American. I mean, that's, I think, what made him electable.
As crowds rushed into the square, a surge of emotion caught up with Tammy Harper.
It's just everything. Once in a lifetime. It is a once in a lifetime, and for us to be here in this moment, just so blessed and grateful.
He hails from Chicago. Nora O'Donnell with some more of his history.
This is a man who speaks 5 different languages. He also reads Latin and German. He was a math major at Villanova University. But I think if you were to summarize him, and he has said how he views himself first and foremost as a missionary.
He has spent years in Peru and is a dual national. The head of FEMA was fired today and escorted out of the agency by DHS agents. Nicole Skanga reports.
Cameron Hamilton, FEMA's acting administrator, appeared to publicly break with the Trump administration on whether or not to eliminate the nation's disaster relief agency while testifying on Capitol Hill. His departure comes roughly 3 weeks before the start of Atlantic hurricane season.
Hamilton said he didn't think eliminating the agency was in the best interest of the American people. NOAA said today it will no longer track the cost of big weather disasters. At the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered that transgender troops who don't leave on their own by June 6th be kicked out. Christopher Cruz has the latest on efforts to modernize the nation's air traffic control system.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said many of the systems controllers now use are 50 years old. He said the current system will be completely rebuilt.
We're going to have new telecom, new fiber throughout the system. We're going to have brand new radios in our towers.
Duffy said he wants the new system to be up and running in 3 to 4 years.
President Trump today announced a new trade deal of sorts with Britain.
Furthermore, in a historic step, the deal includes plans that will bring the United Kingdom into the economic security alignment with the United States. That's the first of its kind. So we have a big economic security blanket.
On Wall Street, the Dow finished the day 254 points higher. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now from Minnesota's radio station, let's get you caught up with Minnesota's latest headlines and biggest stories on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Sunny, 70 degrees at 5:03. I'm Laura Oakes. The head of the Archdiocese of St. Paul and Minneapolis is smiling today upon word of the new Pope.
Archbishop Bernard Hebda never imagined there would be an American Pope.
How wonderful to have all of you here on this day that is so important for us as Catholics and really for men and women of goodwill around the globe.
He told reporters he's never met him, but believes he will bring unity to the church. He also said he was struck by the fact that Pope Leo did not speak English in his address.
Pope Leo spoke in Spanish. He said, I apologize. I want to take a moment to say a few words in Spanish. He said no words in English.
In St. Paul, Susie Jones.
And I haven't heard definitively whether he's a Cubs fan or a White Sox fan. Cubs.
News Talk 830 WCCO.
A Twin Cities man was able to give a pretty good play-by-play as he stood in Vatican Square waiting for the telltale sign that a new pope had been elected today.
Well, we saw the helicopters not flying over. We thought that they probably put off the vote for a little while. And then all of a sudden, as we got there, another helicopter over, white smoke.
Dan Hill from Plymouth telling WCCO's Adam and Jordana it was the experience of a lifetime.
It's an exciting time here, and the white smoke is just starting to tail off now. But yeah, I mean, it couldn't have happened any quicker, could it?
We now know the name of the 14-year-old boy who was shot and killed following a fight earlier this week near the Federal Reserve Building in downtown Minneapolis. The Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office says Thor William Wagaman Walsh of Minneapolis suffered multiple gunshot wounds. Police Chief Brian O'Hara says Walsh had been a victim of a shooting in the past and recently was a suspect in another. There have been no arrests. Ahead of the governor's fishing opener tomorrow in Cross Lake, Governor Tim Walz says he's confident lawmakers can strike a budget deal. He says both sides, though, will need to be open to compromise.
I've said there are certain core values that we're not going to move on. I am not going to make it a capital crime to get an mRNA vaccine, obviously. So there's some things that have been proposed that no, there's no compromise on. But on the rest of it, as long as the core principles of what we've done, I'm open to that.
The legislative session ends on May 19th. Big day today for Minnesota sports fans.
Mark came from Waseca to watch the Twins and celebrate a very special birthday.
Right now we're here to celebrate my wife. She passed away. It's her birthday today. She was a big Twins fan.
Recently retired Bob is going to watch the Wolves on TV, but spend the day outdoors.
Enjoy the sun with the baseball game.
And Matt might be pulling double duty.
Going to the Twins game, and then we'll see where it takes us from the evening.
So you may or may not go to the Wolves.
Who knows? Just got to be flexible and see what happens.
Regardless of where they'll watch the Wolves, they've offered up a key piece of advice.
Quit shooting threes. What were they, like 0 for 30 the other night?
Roaming downtown Minneapolis, Ari Bergeron, News Talk 830 WCCO.
In WCCO News Time is 5:06.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
35W northbound Diamond Lake Road, crash off to the right side. Expect some slowing through the area. If you can reach out on West 94 to Minneapolis, West 94 at Cedar Avenue down to a single lane. Some problems with the pavement. Right lane is closed. Traffic is single lane and packed and stacked to make way toward Cretin. East 94, slowing coming from Lexington into downtown St. Paul. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mike Lynch, proud to talk about Donahue's Greenhouse in Faribault, Minnesota, where you drive a little and save a lot. You're going to walk in the door there, being wowed by their color. Everything is grown there. Nation's leading producer of clematis. For hours and directions, Donahue'sGreenhouse.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Brought to you by Donahue's Greenhouse, where you drive a little and save a lot. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
Clear and quiet tonight as we fall back to 50 degrees. Then tomorrow, the heat is on Glen Fry. Partly cloudy with a high of 83. We'll notice the clouds increase right around supper time. There could be a few isolated showers. Sunny and 80 on Saturday. 87 the forecast high for the moms on Mother's Day.
Mostly sunny right now, 70 degrees at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Here, you don't need to scroll for the truth. You hear it. Live, local, and unsanitized by trending tabs. News Talk 830 WCCO. No suit, no tie. Just DeRUSHA. It's Drive Time. Live from the WCCO studios, high atop the Odyssey Tower.
You're watching the cool, brainwashing 12-year-old and younger station that hides behind a slick image. We're so cool that we decide what's cool. And now, here's your host,
Jason DeRUSHA.
All right, here we go. It is Thursday. It's beautiful. Oh, my goodness. Mother's Day weekend. The Timberwolves in action tonight. So much going on. So much to be excited about. I'm off tomorrow. Dan is filling in. That's
what?
Yeah. Better get ready.
I guess.
That's something for some of you to be excited about. No DeRUSH out of Friday. Are you playing Card to Sharks?
Oh, you better believe it.
All right. Very good. Want to make sure somebody gets one of those Gesture Concepts gift cards.
For sure.
I'm going to post a video tomorrow on Instagram that shows my nephews reviewing Parlor in St. Paul. I've been a food critic in this town for 15 years or so. And honestly, I think everybody's bored with my bit. So let's turn it over to a 9 and an 11-year-old. It's pretty entertaining. So that'll we'll post on my Instagram tomorrow. Let's get going. There's a lot happening in the news today. Let's get you up to date with the DeRUSH Hour news headlines.
Now, time to get you caught up on some of the biggest stories of the day. These are the DeRUSH Hour headlines.
Good evening. Our top story.
This just in.
Our top story.
We begin tonight.
We begin tonight.
We begin with the lead.
He woke up this morning, a Chicago area native by the name of Robert Prevost. At this moment, this American is now Pope Leo XIV.
Habemus papam. Eminentissimum, ac reverendissimum Dominum, Dominum Robertum Franciscum, Sancte Romane Ecclesiae, Cardinalem Prevost, qui sibi nomen imposuit, Leonem decimum quartum.
I don't know what any of that was. Do you have any idea what just happened there, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, the Habemus Papam is we have a pope.
We have a pope.
And then he was a bunch of stuff. And then it's Cardinal Robert Francis
And that was
Prevost.
that. Then you knew.
And then it was Leo the 14th.
So I'm sitting there watching this happen, and I was watching ABC News, and David Muir cannot stop talking. Multiple times he says, I don't want to keep talking over all of this. And then he kept talking. But thank goodness he talked there because I didn't quite know what had happened. It was like, it's an American. I was like, what? A lot of people had that reaction. The shock that an American was named Pope. Some reaction from maybe the most media savvy and one of the most well-known priests in the United States. He is a Jesuit, Father James Martin.
Hey everyone, it's Jim Martin, and just sort of stunned by the news of the election of Pope Leo XIV, former Cardinal Prevost. I got to know him a little bit at the Synod. He was at my table, and I know him to be a down-to-earth, kind, modest, reserved guy, hardworking, decisive, not afraid of speaking his mind. It's a great choice. He brings a wealth of experience from being a missionary in Peru, a bishop in Peru. He speaks, of course, perfect Spanish and Italian and English, of course, with a Chicago accent. He was the prior general of the Augustinians. I'm standing on top of the Augustinian rooftop right now. And he was also in charge of formation. I also think it's really important to note the choice of the name Leo XIV, a nod to Leo XIII, who's the father of Catholic social teaching. So just an amazing choice.
Pretty interesting stuff. A historic moment whenever a pope is selected, but to have the first American pope, just shocking. And as an American and as a Catholic, it's exciting. It is exciting. It is a special moment, really, for all of us in America, as here now will be an example of someone that hopefully will universally be thought of as holy, as good, as someone putting others before himself. And that, coming from an American, is a powerful thing. All right, our next story in the DeRUSH Hour News headlines is good news in Ramsey County, where a major effort is underway to do a better job when it comes to sexual assault response. About 6 years ago, there was a look in Ramsey County as to what was going on because people weren't being prosecuted. Victims were frustrated. Things were not good. Ramsey County Attorney John Choi at the time said he was going to do something about it. And he did. John is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker Hotline to talk about how much things have changed since then.
Well, first of all, we have a gap in just people wanting to report. And then secondly, if they did report, these cases just did not get completed in terms of the investigation. And then they were never submitted to our office. And so about 2/3 of all of the reports, what we found was they were never coming to the attention of the county attorney's office. And that
so it wasn't that you guys didn't want to prosecute. It was that the cases were never being completed in a way where you got a shot at it.
Yeah, and I think what the danger here is, and I think this is something that everybody should be thinking about, is that whenever we assume that the next person won't do something, right, it can be a really bad thing. So when the victim assumes that the system isn't going to respond, they may not report. And if the police believe that the prosecutor can't charge this case, they might not submit it. And if the prosecutor believes that the jury is never going to convict with these set of facts, that's a problem. So we had to recalibrate everything. And I think that report that we released in 2018 really helped us focus on what we needed to do for improvement, which was that one of the things we found was that our investigators were, their caseloads, they were just drowning in their caseloads. And then we also found that we had a huge dropout rate with victims after they had reported. We know that we needed to invest in advocacy. So we did all of that. We went out and got grants. We transferred money from the county to the cities to bolster investigations. And, all this takes a long time. And then in 2019, we all signed on a dotted line, all the police agencies, the county attorney, and the victim advocacy. We all said we're going to do better.
And it
then,
worked. It worked.
and it
It's
worked.
not, you're not there. You're not at the finish line, but it's almost
No.
flipped the
Yeah.
scenario, right?
Right. Our charging rate is now about 64, 65%. And when we started this work back in 2018, 19, it was like at 38%, really low. And so we needed to just make some changes in terms of how we looked at these cases and how we trained our prosecutors, how we trained investigators, because we can't prosecute cases unless we get good investigations. And so we had to do a lot of work there. And then, of course, just bolstering community advocates so that they could be with the victim right away as soon as possible, helping them understand the investigative process. What was killing victims, I think, or really hurting them was the fact that there would be they would make the report and then they wouldn't hear anything for months. And it wasn't that nobody was doing it. It wasn't doing anything. They just were waiting for forensic testing to come back or whatever it was. And I think we needed to have more advocacy available to explain things to victims so that they understood that just because they're not hearing back on a decision, it doesn't mean that we don't believe them, that we don't want to help them. So we announced yesterday that we were going to have a 2-year plan to infuse about $40,000 worth of investment into training for cops and for prosecutors and for victim advocates. And that we are also going to continue on with additional enhanced expedited forensic testing. We pay a little extra so that we can get our cases prioritized to the front of the line and having a dedicated forensic scientist. And that has made a huge difference, and a credit to the BCA because they not only have increased the turnaround times for Ramsey County, but they've done it for the entire state.
John Choi, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. Take care.
That's John Choi talking about Ramsey County. We need to do better, and that $40,000 in new training and really the renewed focus is the key. Just victims knowing that they are being taken seriously. It's a big deal. It is Timberwolves game 2. It's a big deal, big night, big game for sure. Wolves and the Warriors after an abysmal shooting night. Chris Hine is with the Star Tribune. He is the Timberwolves reporter, and he is with us on the John Schuster Coldwell Banker hotline. Chris, obviously the shooting was so bad. The three-point shooting was so bad. Do they dwell on that? Do they think about that? What do the players do?
Yeah, I think they can't be worried about how the shooting is, because I think if you worry about how bad they shot, it might bleed over into this game. I think you have to, and they've said all the right things, just kind of put that out of your mind, keep shooting when you have open looks, because this is a very tough defense they're up against as well. So when guys have open looks on offense, they got to take them. So you can't be passing that up in the hopes that somebody else might get a better shot.
How big is the loss of Steph as far as the strategy for the way the Wolves are going to run their game tonight?
Well, I mean, defensively, it's interesting because now you're theoretically able to zero in a little more on some of these other guys like Buddy Hield and Jimmy Butler and pay them more attention.
Chris Hine is with us. You wrote the book on Ant. Ant is needs a level of intensity that we didn't see in the last game. Frankly, we didn't see in the last Lakers game. How do you expect, when you look at the arc of his career, when he hits these kind of maybe rough spots, how do you expect him to respond tonight?
I expect him to respond with a big performance. That's kind of how he's been in the playoffs. I think that was what was most striking about what happened in game one was Ant has traditionally throughout his career been somebody who has thrived in the playoffs, who raises his game to meet the moment. And that's what was a little puzzling about game one. He came out a little tentative, it seemed. He wasn't hitting a shot. And next thing you know, he's got just 1 point at halftime of that game. Very unusual for Ant, especially when you consider some of the great performances he's had throughout his career in the playoffs. Even in series where the Wolves weren't favored or were the underdogs, he's always risen his game to the moment. So expect him to have a big response tonight. whether or not he makes or misses shots is, obviously you can't really control that.
Right.
But the impact you can have on the game, rebounding, playmaking, and quite frankly, defensively as well. And being one of those guys who's not going to fall asleep on off-ball defense, which he can sometimes struggle with. That's another way that you can impact the game, considering his athleticism and ability to shut guys down.
Got to win it. Got to win tonight, right?
Got to. I mean, listen, Steph is out, and they said a week, reevaluated in a week. So you assume that games 2, 3, and 4 is definitely out. Probably game 5, which is 6 days away from today. So you're looking at least a 4-game window, most likely, where Steph Curry is going to be out in this series. I would just caution people against the notion that this series is over, that the Wolves will just take care of business. I have seen this team sort of play with their food in situations like this, where a team is missing a key player and they let their guard down. And before you know it, you're in a close game or you're losing to a team that you should be beating. When you look at Golden State and they have Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, that's a lot of basketball smarts over there. That's a lot of ability to control the pace of the game, control how the game is going to be played. And so I don't think this is just an automatic win for the Wolves. I actually think it's going to be a tough game tonight for them.
Totally agree. Thanks, Chris. Good stuff. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
All right.
Appreciate it.
See ya. Bye. Chris Hine from the Star Tribune. Page 2 coming up in just a minute. New data showing whether international visitors really are staying away from coming to the U.S. And she was responsible for the look of the church lady. And she's from right here in the Twin Cities. Page 2 coming up.
Jason DeRusha and Drive Time needs to make a brief pit stop on News Talk 830 WCCO.
At the University of Minnesota, our goal is to make sure what happens in Minnesota doesn't stay in Minnesota, because the discoveries we're making have implications for the health of the world. From the cancer-detecting AI model we built in Rochester, to how we're redefining mental health in Morris, to breakthroughs we're making in Crookston, Duluth, and the Twin Cities. Our discoveries start here, but they make the world healthier everywhere. The University of Minnesota, driven to discover.
Advantage Seamless Gutters is now Advantage Home Pros. New look, same pros. Still locally owned and now taking care of all your gutter and roofing needs. Spring cleanup is just around the corner. Don't spend your weekends on a ladder cleaning your gutters when you could be spending time with family and planning that fishing trip. Trust your local gutter pros, Advantage Home Pros. Now your local custom roofing pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros, AdvantageHomePros.com.
Accidents don't follow a playbook, but Postman Law has the winning strategy. We've helped clients recover over $3 billion by delivering personal attention and real results. Call 844-POSTMAN today, because when life throws you a curve, Postman delivers the compensation you deserve. Offices, Minneapolis.
Hey, it's Vandita. The easy way to do something isn't always the smart way to do it. When you're selling your home, you might think that one of those instant cash offers is always the way to go. Most of them are for nowhere close to what your home is worth. You are much better off calling my friend, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. They just helped Doug sell his home. He was moving out of state, wanted to sell his home fast. He reached out to 5 of those cash offer investors to make instant offers. He decided to call John, though, and see if he could get more money. John assured him that he could, and he did. John sold his home for $75,000 more than the highest instant offer Doug received. It paid off. Contact John for full details. 952-222-9000 online. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
At Wealth Enhancement, we believe wealth is in the details. Our team of trusted advisors craft personalized solutions to help you achieve your financial goals. Tune in to the Your Money Show on News Talk 830 WCCO every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. or go to wealthenhancement.com to connect with one of our advisors.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 20% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRUSHA. Video streaming live on YouTube and always on your radio at News Talk 830 WCCO.
DeRUSH Hour News headlines, page 2. And let's start with the question about international visitors. You maybe have heard the hype. But what's the reality? Are people from other countries really staying away from visiting the U.S.?
Stay away from them, stinky head!
Not really. So, despite that gal, with one exception, and it's significant, it's Canadians. Oh, the Canadians are pissed. New York Times reporting that nearly as many foreign travelers have arrived at American airports this year as they have during the same period last year. So the Times took entry data collected from every international airport in the country. Now, international arrivals did drop more than 10% in March compared to last year, but they think it's largely because Easter fell unusually late. So that's a popular travel window for European tourists, and more recent figures from April show that travel over Easter looked about the same. So the question is about summer. And so far, summer vacations, the United States also, people are still coming. Almost no change except Canada. Do you think, are they more mad about the terror? I think it's the 51st state, jibber jabber. Ticket sales for travel in the summer are down 21% compared to last year. Now, here in Minnesota with Mall of America, if you have 21% fewer Canadians traveling, that's not going to be good. We are going to feel that over the summer, I think. Canadian travelers make up roughly a quarter of all foreign visitors. Obviously, they're worried about it in Maine, New York, Florida. The rest of the world, tickets are only down 2%. And you say, like, is that just general economy? Probably. She was responsible for the look of the church lady.
Well, isn't that special?
Cool interview by Neil Justin in the Strip with Pamela Peterson. Pamela Peterson grew up in Roseville, graduated from the University of Minnesota. Her first gig was at the Guthrie Costume Shop in 1980. Then she went to Broadway, did Dreamgirls. I thought this was interesting. She's hanging out, working on Broadway, and talking to people who are successful in the costume world, and many of them went to Yale. So she went to Yale. It was a different time in the early 80s, right? So she gets her master's degree at Yale. At graduation, the production designer for Saturday Night Live was getting an honorary degree. And so then he hired her to be the costume designer for the show. That's how she got the gig that led to the church lady. And how did she come up with that look? She was talking to Dana Carvey. She knew who the character was. And she was at a thrift store buying furniture for her first apartment in New York when she saw it. That double knit dress with a little jacket. And she said, I'll take the sofa, I'll take the chair, and I need that dress. Pretty cool. Would you eat chicken so spicy hot that you had to sign a waiver?
It's more tingly than hot. Yeah.
I love this story in Racket MN, which went into detail on this writer who tried hot chicken from 2 chains that required a waiver. Now, this story from Spencer White, Spencer gets a little sick from Dave's Hot Chicken, the number 3, prepared at the Reaper spice level. The receipt paper from the cash register cranks out a waiver. He signs it. And he says, I took my first bite of the sandwich. It wasn't that bad. For about 5 seconds. After a few more bites, my lips began swelling. My body gushed sweat. And my tummy started turning. So then he goes through the bit and tells you, at least he doesn't go into too much detail telling you how difficult the next day was. Spent a little bit of time. But it was so bad, he waited 2 months before he went to Hangry Joe's in Inver Grove Heights, and he was like, this wasn't that bad. His line, he's like, the waiver that he got was for taking Angry Hot. He says, I've been to real chicken war, and this ain't it. So don't mess around with the Dave's Hot Chicken. If you're signing a waiver, I'm out. That's the DeRUSH Hour News headlines here on CCO. In just a minute, the first new condo project in Minneapolis in years. Why? Why haven't there been more of them? And where is this one going to be? We'll talk with the developer in just a minute here on Drive Time.
Don't touch that dial. More Drive Time with DeRusha coming up on News Talk 830 WCCO. Saying what needs to be said.
Yes, he's an illegal immigrant. Yes, he deserves due process.
Smart, sharp, and not afraid to stir the pot.
Sometimes when you're intentionally trying to smear someone for political purposes, you're also right.
Minnesota nice with a lot of spice.
Another Trump presidency will begin before Southwest Light Rail actually opens. I don't like it when a kid jumps to like 3 and 4 institutions, the transfer portal, but times have changed.
Where the smart people hang out and discuss what matters.
Arts education always seems like it's the first thing to cut.
Some post great quotes. Here, we drop them live.
The government, to me, is not in the business of growing families.
News Talk 830 WCCO.
It's May. You should be thinking about Mother's Day. Give mom the gift of better sleep. Or how about less pain? You could do both. Mini-Leaf makes products for both. The Triple Diamond Pain Cream will keep her feeling good and in less pain. And those Sleep Night Gummies will help her sleep painlessly through the night. Those Sleep Night Gummies are a real charm. Check out Mini-Leaf's products at MINNELEAF.com. Mother's Day shouldn't just be one day of the month. It should be every day in May. And Mini-Leaf wants to help you celebrate. Go to minileaf.com. Check out that Triple Diamond Pain Cream, those Sleep Night Gummies, or their other great products. I use them. There's so many CCOers that absolutely love them. You will too. Tell my friends at Mini-Leaf, Jordana sent you.
Mini-Leaf means quality. Taste happy at minileaf.com.
The home of Minnesota's best legal products.
Meet Alan, who was diagnosed with sleep apnea.
I was what they call a mouth breather, and I would breathe at night with my mouth open.
And for about 8 years, Alan struggled with a CPAP machine. And then
I saw the Advent commercial, and I thought, well, what do you got to lose? This machine is miserable.
For most people, CPAP machines are miserable, but a simple breathing triangle solution from Advent can be life-changing.
And it really was, to me, it was amazing because I don't think I ever breathed that clear.
This is Dr. Madan Kandula. After having one of Advent's simple breathing triangle procedures, people are amazed at how freely and clearly they can breathe.
I'm happy with the procedure. I'm very glad I did it. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago. I could have avoided that machine I had to have laying next to the bed with the hose wrapped around my head.
Schedule your appointment at adventknows.com because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
The peace lily is so last year. Hey, has anyone worked with fiddlenecks?
Shelby's popular flower shop is in full bloom.
We just got a request for an arrangement that evokes air. Who's up for that challenge? No?
She needs to hire a floral designer to nip foliage faux pas in the bud.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Still getting around to that fix on your car?
You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-969-0686 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-969-0686. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-969-0686.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Linda's Construction. Get your Leaf Guard brand gutters, lindasconstruction.com. West 94 still single lane at Cedar Avenue with the pavement failure. Traffic is slow, pretty much as you come in from Selling Avenue. Highway 36 jammed up both directions right now between Rice Street and 35W. If you can reach out in 100, that slows both directions between 62 and 394. Get the Leaf Guard gutter system, guaranteed never to clog. Custom fit to your home on site for a perfect seamless finish. Available in a variety of colors to complement your home decor. Call Linda's Construction at 8449-LINDAS or lindasconstruction.com. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCC.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by the Minneapolis Club, my friends at the Minneapolis Club. Beautiful sunny day. They are opening up the patio at the Minneapolis Club because it's so nice, and you don't have to be a member. If you go to mplsclub.org, you can find out information about Charlie's, their bar. Anybody could show up, have a good time. I like that. You will see me at the bar. Shocking. Here's Chris Schaefer's weather.
We'll drop back to about 50 degrees in the Twin Cities overnight tonight with a clear sky. Sunshine early. We'll see some clouds late afternoon when we warm up to about 83. It's a cold front coming through that could trigger a few isolated showers. We clear out tomorrow night. Dry for the fishing opener on Saturday. Mostly sunny with a high near 80. Windy and warm for Mother's Day with a high around 87.
It is 71 in downtown Minneapolis here on CCO.
Is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
He does an incredible job, and he's not only a great announcer, but an even better person. So,
wow.
DeRUSHA on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Clearly, that soundbite wasn't talking about me. Just to be transparent about that, it is 5:38. I was surprised to hear that there have been no new condos build in Minneapolis. No new projects approved, anything going on. In 5 or 6 years, it's been a long time, which is sort of surprising because you see apartments going up all the time. You see a lot of activity in Minneapolis for sure, and more interest. Obviously, when COVID happened, there were some people who moved out, but now there seems to be more interest in people coming back. The Fletcher is in Linden Hills. And it's going to be the first one we've seen in a long time. Thomas Herzog is here because I just wanted to understand this a little more. He's the developer behind the Fletcher. Thomas, nice to have you here.
Hey, Jason. I'm really glad to be here.
Tell me, well, first of all, why do you think it's been so long before a new condo project has come into play?
Yeah, as you mentioned, apartments have been really hot for a really long time. There's even more history dating back to the housing crash of 2008. Where we saw a lot of condos and condo developers run into some trouble. There's been some recent legislative changes in the 2010s that have kind of helped make things a little easier to get condos done. But to be honest, I think people have just been really excited about apartments for a long time, and we're really excited about building for sale housing because we need some of these buildings to be for sale so people can own them.
What I think is cool about your project, it's called the Fletcher. It's in Linden Hills. And I don't know if all our listeners know Linden Hills, but it is a very tight-knit neighborhood. It feels like a suburb in the city to a certain degree, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
I'm like, those people don't want me. They don't want my riffraff messing up Sebastian Joes and Martino over there. I don't know. But that tight-knit neighborhood, the truth is, like, buying a house, single family home over there can be out of reach for a lot of people, even people in an upper bracket who are looking for a house there. But a condo like this, an upper bracket condo, is viable for people who are making. Well, who are you finding who's interested in?
Yeah. I mean, you point out a great piece that in the neighborhood of Linden Hills, there are a bunch of really nice but large homes that come with big lawns and gardens, driveways at times, and those are all your responsibility. The siding, the windows, the front door. When the doorbell breaks, those are all your responsibility.
And some people don't want that.
And some people don't want that.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of old condos too. We can't forget about that. There's 60 and 80-year-old condos all over the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been anything like this in within this neighborhood for decades. This really is kind of a once in a generation type project.
Now, I sort of described the neighborhood a little bit. I can imagine getting something approved. People, no one wants change. Were they? What kind of reception did you get for the neighborhood?
Honestly, the neighborhood was very reasonable with us.
Yeah, that's good. Linden Hills. Are we talking about the same neighborhood?
You wouldn't believe it.
Yes.
But 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been the same thing. But I'll say this, Jason, we at Good Neighbor Homes take the community engagement really seriously.
Yeah, you have to, right?
And we showed up really early at neighborhood meetings, showing preliminary drawings, talking people through what we were thinking. I think we've been to 4 or 5 community meetings over the last couple of years. We've hosted specific open houses for our immediate neighbors. We have a condo building next door, and we've got some single family home neighbors across the street. And so we've literally invited them into our home and showed them our plans and talked through it, because construction's hard, and no one likes to see the loss of that in their neighborhood, and it feels like loss. And we've met them there.
Is this like? Do you see a condo situation like this? Is this for the empty nester? Is this for the young professional? Like who? I'm always curious, like, because so, these are $1.4 million plus homes. Like, who's buying this kind of thing?
Yeah, we are getting a lot of interest from folks who are trying to downsize their lifestyles. They've lived in the neighborhood before. They know it. They love it. But they moved out. They moved to a bigger house, probably in the suburbs, to raise their family. And those folks are ready to get back to the neighborhood that they loved when they were younger. So that's been a really big buyer demographic for us. But I don't think it's exclusive to downsizers, to be clear. We've got some young professionals who are started their own businesses, have been really successful, and love the idea of this low maintenance lifestyle that comes with a condo.
What is your feeling about Minneapolis? Like, is it because, as I mentioned during COVID, like, people were moving away for more land or whatever. Now it seems to be there's a little more of this return to office vibe, but there's also, I always think there's a draw towards the cities, but I also know I'm biased because I love the cities. What is your sense when you look at the market?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm biased too, Jason.
Yeah,
I
live in Minneapolis.
I live in Minneapolis. Yeah. I'm up, east of Lake of the Isles. So I'm biased, but I truly think that there are neighborhoods in the city of Minneapolis that just have timeless value. And Linden Hills is for sure one of those. I mean, throughout all of COVID, 2020 to today, I mean, it's barely seen a drop in values, to be honest. It's one of the few neighborhoods.
I've been looking. I mean, my wife and I have been shopping for condos in Minneapolis. We've been looking.
Oh, that's great.
Settle down. So, I mean, all of a sudden, he's like, I got a live one. I got a live one right here.
Oh, it's perfect.
But the prices, I kept waiting I'm like, prices are going to drop.
Mhm.
And they didn't.
Yep.
And you're like, well, that is interesting. It's interesting.
Yep. I mean,
whether you're like, are sellers delusional? Maybe. But also maybe just the value holds.
The value holds. I mean, real estate's a different asset class. You know, the stock market ups and downs over the last month and a half are, you know, it's a whole different category of asset. And real estate's it's durable. It's around for 100 years, not, you know, buy and sell every quarter type of thing.
Yeah, makes sense. Thomas Herzog is with us. The Fletcher is the name of this new condo development. Give me some of the details. How many units are we talking about?
Yeah, so we have 15 homes that we're building in the Fletcher.
And downsize, what does downsize mean to the Linden Hills person?
The smallest we have is about 1,600 square feet, but that's still 2 beds, 3 baths, and 2 parking stalls. And then we have units that go all the way up to 2,400 square feet with 500 square foot patios overlooking the neighborhood. 3 beds, 3 baths. I mean, they're beautiful units, very generous in size.
Are there any like sort of design elements that the buyer today? I mean, you've been in this game for a bit, although you're pretty young, right? How old are you?
Yep, I'm 31.
31. Like the only reason I bring that up is people have this image of what a developer is, and I think it's like a 55-year-old cigar chomping, like kind of angry, Wall Street guy.
Yep,
it's not the vibe I'm getting.
No, not at all.
But are there parts of a design that like people maybe need today they want that maybe 5 or 10 years ago would not have been in a home?
That's a great question. We're getting a lot of requests. This is kind of funny for in-home saunas. So, you know, before, you know, you get a heated floor in a bathroom.
Yeah,
that's a gimme. That's been there for a long time. But now, in addition to the walk-in closet and the standalone tub, some people want to be able to take a sauna. In their house, and you know what? Good for them,
right?
We can make it happen. We can make it happen. We can do just about anything at the Fletcher,
because that's the phase you're in now. That there's the flexibility and whatever. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's good. We need all different. Part of what we lack, I think, is we build these sort of like this neighborhood is for houses and this neighborhood is for apartments. And if you go to many cities of our size, you have much more of like a mix.
Yep.
And so I like the mix. I like it. So
I love it too.
Good.
I love it too. The neighborhood of Linden Hills is really special in a lot of ways. I mean, you can walk down to the lake, a cup of coffee in hand. And you didn't have to go out of your way at all. You didn't have to get in your car, and you're at the lake. It's amazing.
It's pretty cool. Thomas, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in to talk about it.
Thanks, Jason.
The Fletcher is what it's called. You just Google it, but it's FletcherMPLS.com if you want to check it out. 540. I'm not buying a $1.4 million house. Don't even try in the commercial break. I got to sell a lot more. I got to do a lot more live commercials if I'm buying a place like that. Back in a minute on CCO.
Jason DeRusha returns shortly with more of Drive Time on News Talk 830 WCCO.
All right. If I sell 10 more suits at JH & Sons, I could put a down payment down. It's Jason for my friends at JH & Sons. Yesterday, I got so many compliments on the suit jacket that I was wearing. There is something that happens when you go to a great men's clothing store. You have great service. They take care of you. And there's just a different confidence for me. When I'm wearing a nice sport coat, if I'm going to a wedding, wearing a great suit. This summer, it's all about linen. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, Jason, I don't know what the fashion is for this summer. That's why you go to JH & Sons. Go see Kevin or Bryce. Dean is the best tailor. Whenever I post a picture on social media of Dean, 20 people are like, oh my God, Dean is the best tailor in the Twin Cities. He absolutely is. They have got you covered from date night outfits, summer casual, maybe you're going on vacation, and of course, wedding season. If it's back to the office for you, you probably need a new suit. Go see the best in specialty men's clothing. JH & Sons is at the Galleria in Edina. You can sign up for their email list. And this weekend, they got spring stuff on sale. So up to 20% off all sorts of spring items at JH & Sons. Go say hi. Tell them you heard about it on Drive Time. And sign up for the email list at jhndsons.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill?
When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
Hey, it's Vanita. If your kids have moved out and you have more space in your home than you need, you've probably thought about downsizing and moving somewhere that would require less maintenance. Wouldn't that be nice? If you want to buy a new home, selling the one you're living in now is probably how you would afford it. You need to work with my friend, the good neighbor agent, John Schuster of the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. Catherine decided to hire the Schuster Group. John's experience and responsiveness really stood out to her. She hired them, and John made the process as quick and easy as possible. That meant 4 offers in 4 days and an offer for thousands over asking price. It made buying her next home much easier. Catherine's happy that she hired John Schuster. Contact John for full details, 952-222-9000, online, johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving, johnschustergroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 14th. As an accredited state university, UMGC has been transforming lives for over 75 years. With more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, online and hybrid courses, personalized support, financial resources, and lifetime career services, achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get started on your next success. Get your application fee waived now. Classes start May 14th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Now on CCO, let's do traffic and weather together. First, a check of the drive and what shape the roads are in.
Brought to you by Treasure Island Resort and Casino. Problems west 494 Penn Avenue with crash working. The left lane is shut down. It is stop and go as you make way toward Cedar Avenue. West 94 at Cedar Avenue, that's single lane as you make way toward Minneapolis. Got some problems with the pavement. The right lane is closed. Traffic's packed and stacked beginning back at Highway 280. Experience America's favorite game show when Wheel of Fortune Live comes to Treasure Island. You could be randomly selected for your chance to win a replica wheel, solve puzzles, and win incredible prizes when the game show rolls into the island Saturday and Sunday, October 18th and 19th. Trey Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Clogged gutters? Call the pros. Advantage Home Pros. With the highest quality workmanship and materials. Seamless gutter installation, cleaning, and covers. Our trained, knowledgeable local pros can handle it all. Trust the pros. AdvantageHomePros.com.
Forecast time with an update on current conditions and a quick look at what's ahead the next few days.
Weather is brought to you by Advantage Home Pros. Tonight, low of 50. Tomorrow, high of 83. Saturday, 80. Sunday, 80s. What is going on? What a gift for Mother's Day, right? Get out in that garden. Right now, it is 70 degrees on CCO.
This is Drive Time with DeRUSHA.
Let's go through the list. What do you think of Jason?
Absolutely no.
Oh, wow. Kathleen, thank you very much.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
So, the Chicago Cubs are claiming the new Pope. But there's controversy. So there was an ABC report that Chicago-born former Cardinal Robert Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, And this ABC reporter said that he's a Cubs fan. Now, I saw this earlier this afternoon, and it was like, you know me, skeptical. Now, his brother. So imagine this. Like, I've been talking about how weird it is to be like,
imagine being the brother of the Pope.
Yeah, now you are a brother of this cardinal who lives in Rome and used to be in Peru and whatever. Now he's the Pope. I mean, this is my dumb idiot brother. Probably if you're John Prevost, the brother, you're like, honestly, I always thought he was a little overrated. Now it's the Pope. So John says, no, he was never a Cubs fan. He was always a Sox fan.
Wow.
Mom was a Cubs fan. Dad was a Cardinals fan, but he was born in Dalton, which is a South Side suburb. But not all South Siders are White Sox fans.
Not necessarily,
but
no.
It's usually a safe bet.
So wouldn't you say,
so unclear.
You're the Chicago guy, so you can clarify this. If somebody says, oh, I'm a New York baseball fan, the assumption is they're a Yankees fan, right? I mean, obviously there's a lot of Mets fans.
A lot of Mets fans.
But not anywhere near the number of Yankee fans. Isn't that the same way in Chicago? Aren't there way more Cubs fans than there are White Sox fans?
Well, the Cubs.
So if you're going to bet on whether he's a Sox fan or Cubs, you'd bet Cubs, right?
Yeah. Dalton, though, Dalton's like hardcore South Side. Dalton, to me, now the truth is, Chad doesn't have a show, so he's been doing his show on Twitter this afternoon.
Which is like he does. Yeah.
He's so mad. Chad is so mad to not have a show today because he has got in the holster all of the Pope jokes ready to go.
Yeah. He's simultaneously mad he doesn't have a show. And if he did have a show, he'd be mad that he didn't get to go golfing on a beautiful day like this. Yes. So somehow he holds both of those two in tension.
I mean, if you're making a Pope Chicago joke, are you going deep dish pizza? Are you going
Da Bears?
Yeah, probably. Maybe you're going like, finally, like ketchup on a hot dog will officially be a sin. So I feel good about that. Oh, good stuff. Henry Lake is in the studio. He's next.
Henry Lake of the Lake Show, and this past weekend, I had so much fun. I got a chance to watch one of my favorite sporting events, the Kentucky Derby, and I played daily fantasy sports with Prize Picks. It's so simple and easy to play and make money. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app available, with millions of members